good. Also chat open. All right. So once you join the chat, just go ahead and give me what's up so I know chat's working, and we'll get rolling. Three or four connected. Chat. I'm saying I'm not getting any views either. That's really weird.
Yeah, you're good. That's me. I think you're good.
Is it showing up on the stream? Like,
yeah, I got the stream going and everything.
It's not showing up in the restream app.
What do you mean?
So like, if it's showing up on the stream, that's great, but I can't see any of the messages.
Any of the messages?
Yeah, like, is anyone sending any messages at the moment?
Oh, you need to now that it's up, you need to refresh that window.
Yeah, but I used to never have to do that. It's really like.
Can you click and right click and refresh it, or?
Yeah, like even if I check it on the website, it's still not giving it to me. So.
Let me try. I just said hi. Did it come up?
It looks like, no, it doesn't look like it's coming up. It still says waiting for messages. Like it's through the Restream app and the website. It still says waiting for messages. It's really strange.
Let me close.
Let's back up. Because while you were streaming, I was getting.
Okay, I think it's working now. It might have to do with the fact that we both had something open.
Ready?
Yeah, that's what I just wrote. So you're good.
Okay. Cool. All right, now I can see a couple people watching too. All right, sorry for the delay, guys. Chat's been really weird with Restream. Happened to me on Monday, and now it's happening again. It's like it's not pulling the data in immediately, which is strange. So, kind of just open forum. I wanted to go over some just basic render view and IPR settings because Mark Fancher had brought it up. Houdini Mark, what is going on, cinema? Just because I'm streaming now, you're going to give me crap. Let's try this again. Man, that's been a pain in the butt. I don't know what's so. I don't know if anyone's updated to 2.5.54 yet, but ever since I have, I keep getting this weird white screen of death that happens. It's like it doubles up on what it's opening. It's really strange. It won't save. Won't go into my saved workspaces for some reason. All right. Well, I'll just set up a Redshift scene workspace. I'll use a different one. Let's see if does this one work. Sort of. It's trying. Cool. Well, you guys are gonna get to see me roll back a Redshift install because this is just ridiculous. Do I not have downloads here? Two 5.52. Where are you? There we go. Three. Yes. Cool. Man, it is quiet in chat. Dave stole all the thunder. Let's see if this fixes it. Cool. All right. So something's weird with layouts with 2.5.54. So if anyone's watching and installing, hold out a little bit. Keep with 2.5.52 still. So I was gonna go over just some like optimization settings while working, especially in the render view and IPR. Just like what some settings mean. So I'm gonna get some dome light and just a quick cube setup. Go in and let's do an HDRI link. Can't wait for the next set of these to come out. What's up, Konami and Maroof? You need to know how to convert materials to Redshift from Cinema 4D or from what? Like from Arnold, from Octane? What are you converting from? Don't need that background. All right, so just really quickly, this is going to be a future tutorial. It was supposed to be out this week. I've just gotten caught up with work. So a little behind on the tutorial thing, but hopefully this weekend I can knock it out. So we've got this cube here, and we've got all these different settings here, and they kind of help you with your workflow a little bit. So first thing I was going to cover is undersampling. It's usually turned on by default now, but under your view, if you go down to IPR undersampling and 0, that means there's no undersampling. It just tries to process immediately everything that's in the scene. So if it's a really heavy scene, it can kind of lag and you might get like some chunking, kind of like that, because I'm moving around really fast. I also need to change my preferences because I think I had to change that. There we go. So what undersampling does is just kind of delivers a lower quality image in here, so it can keep up with your movements. So you can see it gets super grainy, but it keeps up. And then as soon as you let go, it catches up and starts rendering again. So so that's kind of what the undersampling is. And then in here, fit to window, fixed scaling, fill window. So original size is going to be the original size. So if I go up to 100, it's going to try and render at the full resolution here. Nothing holding it back. You can see it's going around, taking its time. But if we go to fit window, it's going to try and fit it in here, and it renders a little bit faster because it's less area for it to work with. And then all the way down here to fixed scaling, you get to control the size and the amount of sampling in here. So if you want it to be like 100% clarity, but only 50% of the size to give it a little bit of a speed boost, you can do that here. Go down to like 25%, and you'll see it goes even faster. And you can scale this back up if you want. So now it's, say, 200. And so it keeps that low quality render going. So if I hit refresh, you'll see it's still fast because it's only rendering 25% of the actual quality of the scene. So it really allows you to speed up your workflow without having to go in and say lower your settings in here and then jump back and forth and see if you can find a happy medium. Just lower them right here. So if you want to make it really fast, you can just do like a 5% and then say go up to 500%. And it looks really terrible, but if you want to get something really fast and get some look dev done, you have a really high poly count scene or something like that, this is how you go through that. So outside of that, the rest of the evening is just open Q&A, and I guess I'll start with, so if you want to learn how to convert materials, I've got a whole series on getting started with materials. It's 3 videos long, 4 if you count there's like an advanced one. Go check those out. Beyond that, it's pretty much what you expect. So I don't have any fancy C4D shaders, I don't think. Let me see if I can find something. Yeah, I don't have, maybe broadcast will have some, say like abstract. Okay, so let's start with this. So let's throw this on here, and I'm going to reset this scene to fit to window. Something like that. And what it looks like is it's supposed to be like 2-sided red and purple glass. And all you really need to start doing is looking at the fundamentals of it. So, it's kind of red-purple glass. We've got this color in here based on the normal direction. And then we've got transparency in here based on the normal direction. And then some reflectance in here. And you can go in and click on these and go in and make your own palette if you want. So I'm going to drag this in here. I'll just say 2 color. And I'll drag the other one in too. You kind of just have to start breaking it down. And so we also said in here, there's this color here. Pull this in. And I think that's it, right? There's no bumps or anything. So that's about it. And what we'll do, I'm just going to look through these, make sure there isn't anything crazy. Cool. 1.6 for refraction. All right, so what we'll do now is just kind of break it down. And I'll get a new material. And we'll just call this 2-sided. throw it on here. And I know going into this that it's going to be glass, so I'll just choose glass. And it's going to be tinted, so I can change this to maybe this purple here. So very quickly we start to get that purple glass that we already had. Let me see. That's asking for a normal map. That's not what I want. I don't know that I'm going to have anything that really bases it off normals like the other one did. Attributes, maybe. I guess I could do vertex attribute. Let me see what happens if I plug this in. I don't think it's going to give us what we want, but we can at least play with it, see. To make the material menu, you have to customize C4D. So if you go into Window, Customize, you can customize menus or customize palettes. So here's how you edit menus. And what I did was customize a palette. And then you can just look for Redshift and you can start assigning things and drag and dropping and everything. If you read the C4D manual, you can make any kind of layout you want, basically. Like I have a null button right here and some other quick things up in here. You can see I have like my whole selection menu stuck here because I use it all the time. That way I'm not jumping into select and trying to find whatever I'm trying to find. But anyway, so conversion is pretty easy. You just kind of go step by step through it. And if there's like special things based on normals and vertexes, then you just kind of have to learn how to get those attributes. All right, so Konami is, does anyone know what would cause the color from a light to tint a redshift shadow AOV pass? Like what? How do you mean tint it? Let me come in and I'll just make a quick AOV pass. So we got shadows, and I'm going to turn on bucket rendering. So we have a little bit of a shadow right there. Oh, I need to hit. I don't want it as a file, but it's okay. Why are you not showing up? So I don't have it enabled in here. Usually I do. There we go. All right, so shadows. So what kind of tint are you talking about? Like this in here? Konami, if you're still watching. Even if you bring it into, say, Nuke or Fusion or whatever, does it still do that? Because I think what the shadow pass is going to do is it's going to bring all the shadows. Like it's just like a beauty pass for shadows. Because that's what I'm getting in my scene too. If I look at these shadows right here, you can see that there's colors built into it. And you really want something clean, yeah. So I think I think that's mostly because of how beauty passes are put together. They don't usually have a shadow pass. You get all the lighting and everything. Where am I looking for? Global illumination. We'll do GI raw as well. Usually get all that information from like a global illumination pass. So when you go into here, you'll see that it only lights up where it should be lit up, and then everything else falls off. If I go into raw, you can see it a little bit brighter here. So if you want to work with shadows and adjust those, you want to do a global illumination pass. And then if you want to just kind of have something to tinker with that's kind of like a beauty pass to throw over on top, then you're going to do this. And if we go back and look at our beauty scene, you'll see what it's doing is merging all this information together. While GI is actually creating that. And you can do that with, say, ambient occlusion too. So let it run again, go to ambient occlusion. I guess there isn't really, because I don't have it on the material, but so you'll see. But if you throw ambient occlusion on a material, then you'll get an ambient occlusion pass. So you get all that little fall off right in here, that little bit of ambient occlusion in there. So does that make sense, Konami? So if I were to render this out and use something like After Effects or Nuke or Fusion, that's how you'd start to edit your shadows. I think the other thing that you could probably do is render a shadow matte. Let's see. I think the best way to do that would be to create material, throw it on this here. Do a matte shadow catcher. There. Catch diffuse, catch shadows, cool. So what the matte shadow catcher is going to do is it's going to literally catch a shadow, and you could probably do like a custom AOV. So do store to color, that should work fine. Come in here, do beauty input. Catcher, let's see what this ends up doing. Probably have to put it into 1. Blending mode. If you go to, yeah, it's not doing anything. If you go to the Redshift documentation, it has a whole page on how to build a beauty pass. It's like diffuse raw plus diffuse, or plus global illumination, and then diffuse raw plus specular, diffuse raw plus something else, and you multiply some of them together and some of them you add together. So there's a whole format to it. But if you export what am I looking for? EXR is the word I'm trying to say. Then you can tell it to bake all those passes into one called a beauty pass, and then you can separate them out individually. You don't really have to worry about that. It'll have everything added together, and then you just select which ones you want to modify. But yeah, if you go read about AOVs and how to build them, there's a whole mathematical equation. I think at the very like top eighth of the page, it's like right there in the second paragraph maybe. See if anyone's going here. Man, it is like super quiet. I have not had this quiet of a stream in a long time. So I guess while I'm waiting for questions, I think I'm going to start maybe building another metallic pack. I'm considering it. Haven't had any major requests for packs lately, so if there are any shader packs that you'd like, please let me know and I'll whip them up. The one that we were doing before was dirt. Let me see if I still have this saved in here. Dirt. That was John the other day asking about how to make dirt. Never finished it, so it's looking pretty muddy at the moment, kind of like weird chocolate. Yeah, that should be good. All right, so maybe I'll just continue messing around with this a little bit. I'm trying to keep everything as procedural, I guess, as possible. Not have to use Cinema 4D shader noise and things like that, but to get the chocolate or the dirt that we were looking at before and get it all crumbly, just seems like it may be a necessary evil. I think I'm also just going to start over based on where I had left off. So what we really want is like this big noise overall, and then these little dots in between as well. So I'm going to go down to like a 0.5 here. Make this nice and big. Maybe even bigger. And that's probably okay. And what I'm going to do is kind of like medium-sized one in this one. I think I'm going to try and get some more blacks in here. Probably have to go the other way. Yeah. I guess something like that. Make sure I put my black back in there. Then I'll composite the two, see what we get. Kind of just want some big sweeping displacement to begin. So I'm not really getting at the moment. There we go. It's a little bit too chunky. Maybe I'll go the other way. Puff it out. What we're looking at from the reference image that we had before was just dirt kind of has these cool like rivers, for lack of a better word, in them. And then inside each kind of has distinct features of bigger and smaller pieces of dirt. Random color and cloner action. I just did that video like a week ago or 2 weeks ago, especially when 2.552 came out, whichever one just introduced that. But I can do it really quick. Cube, cloner, and I'm gonna kill the offset here, not 10, I want 0. We'll say 50. But yeah, I think it was either last week or the week before. It's a quick tip tutorial, and you'll see it has a bunch of platonics. But we can go to a random here, and let's push these kind of far apart and a little bit far apart there. And we can leave a couple a little bit overlapped there. That might be fun. Create this new material, throw it on here. So what we're going to do is go into our shader, and we'll get a color data node right here. We're going to go to MoGraph and color, and we'll put it on our diffuse. Nothing's going to happen to begin with. Like, we get a little bit of changes in there, but what we really need to do is come into random, turn on color mode, and that's it. And then now with the newest update is you can even use it with instances where before you couldn't. So right there you've got instances, and you can go crazy. So if I scale it down, still get randomization. And now if I want to go up to 500, get all that going. I think too, switch. What's up, Anthony? Yeah, I think pretty certain if we use a switch and I think I have to do integer. Yeah, it won't let me do it as I thought. I was thinking you could control it a little bit more, but the problem is the color data won't go into this to be used as a selector, so that kind of puts a damper on things. But yeah, doing like pure random colors is totally feasible now. You know, if you wanted to have pure random glass, then you could go down into general, no, subsurface. There we go. And transmittance. Kill this down. Bring this up. I think I might need a light source. Infinite light. Let's do an area light. There we go. So now I've got some glass. It's completely randomized. You can ask whenever you want, Anthony. I usually take a break every 5 minutes or so and check for questions. So I've already covered this in a quick tip tutorial, but somebody was asking, so I did it really quickly. So what's your question, man? That's confusing you. What's up, Serge? .05. Maybe do a little bit more scatter so we get some color back in there. There we go. So now we've got random instanced glass. Yeah, the multicolor shader doesn't work for Redshift. I know Octane can use it, and I think Arnold can use it, but Redshift currently can't. I think that's coming. At least that's what I've read in the forums and the MDA Slack. What's up, Luke? I see you joined on Periscope. Then thanks for hanging out with us. What process is this? Volume rendering, but do you know? Yeah, I mean, you could do it in. I guess the best way to do it would probably be to do it in X particles if you want to stay inside. Let me do a quick search for you. Octane volume rendering. Yeah, so let's go ahead. We can make a VDB logo really quickly. Just check my notifications, make sure I'm not destroying anything. So kill this and this. So Anthony, if you don't have X particles, totally recommend going and getting X particles. That's the best way to go about doing it inside of Cinema 4D. If you have Houdini, then you can do it in Houdini quite as well, or quite easily. Like the cloudy box one. Let me just go ahead and bring this over here. Like this one here. Something like that. One box and one pyramid. It's kind of like this. As of right now, Redshift doesn't read shapes like Octane does. Like you can't just fill a shape in volumes and give it noise like this. But if you have X particles, you can. So let's see. When we do a cube, I'm going to turn this off for a second. So this one here, okay. And view image. So I'm going to try and do this one. Something like that. Like this. Go ahead and just connect these. Stupid new key command. All right. At lowest. Actually, is that what I want to do? No, I didn't mean to. Guess I should have booled it. Well, I mean, the easiest way, Octane can do it natively. So like, I don't have any of my tools up, but if you throw, well, it can kind of do it natively. If you throw in a Octane volume, you can tell it to just render out shapes as volumes. And unfortunately, you can't do that. Like if I go in here and say volume, and then a path, it's asking for a path. I can't just throw a shape in here. So you kind of have to work a little bit around that using X particles. So what I'm going to do is I want generator. There we go. OpenVDB. That's what I want. So I'm going to use the OpenVDB. I'm going to throw a cube in here, pyramid. And we can turn these off now. So you'll see immediately that we kind of get this look. It's not very noisy at the moment, but this allows you to move it around and you'll see it gets connected that way. So if you want something like this, you can do a couple different things. And like this is kind of hokey, like a hokey way of doing it, because you can do a lot more with Houdini, and or you can do a lot more filling this as a volume with other methods, but this is just like a fast way to get through it. So what you can do too is, now that these are joined, is you can use other things to start to give noise to these. So you can either maybe go in and get a random effector, like so. We'll put it on here, and we're going to go into this and do polygon, distort. And so now, we can kind of move the polygons around however we want and get some distortion going with it. And, the more segments we have, the more we'll be able to distort it. So something like that. And maybe we come in here and we can rotate some of the polygons a little bit. Kind of liked where it was going before. So, like that. So you can do this to the cube as well. Give it a second to catch up. Oh, you know what? The cube may not have enough segments. I think it's just the base cube, right? Yeah. So we'll do 10 by 10 by 10. So you get something crazy like that. It's looking pretty fun. So that's how you're going to get it kind of noisy. And then to take parts out of it, I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this pyramid here, come in and throw it in here. And it's going to try to initially add it back in. I'm going to turn it from union to intersection. And so right now it's wherever there's intersections, it's forming. And that's not what I thought I wanted. So we're going to do different. And there you go. Now you can start to take out these chunks and make stuff. And then from there, you have to render out the VDB and then turn it into an actual volume. Yeah, I really hope Redshift adds support for it too. Like, I understand only reading a VDB format. So like in here, what you put in here is a VDB format. And so I'll just go grab one. VDBs. Megapack. Let's do this one. All right, so throw that in there, and it's extremely fast at handling already baked out VDBs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this like 20 by 20 by 20. Just make that. I'm on the mesher, aren't I? Doot. Want the volume. There we go. 20 by 20 by 20. Come over here, and I'm going to do this preview, or not bounding box of points. And maybe we'll do 100 points to display. So you can get an idea of what's happening there. And make a volume. Throw it on here. I'm pretty certain it's density. So yeah, what we're going to do in the volume channel here for scatter is put in density. Let's go ahead and hit play on that. And so these area, I'll kill this infinite light. So these area lights, you have to go in under volume and just add some contribution so it knows. I'm going to turn this up a good bit. And just like that, you can see it's really fast at handling VDBs. Make sure I'm selected on the volume so I'm not zooming all through space. There we go. So just like that, it starts to render them, and then even if I hit bucket rendering, it handles them super, super fast. And you can go into your volume and dictate how much scatter there is and things like that. So if I turn this off, maybe you want less scatter, or maybe you want more scatter. So it's a little bit smokier, but tighten it up. So maybe there's some fall offs. Stop that. There we go. Ah, come on, slider. There we go. So get some like wispy fall offs in there. Yeah, I mean, in Octane, you could probably just throw it in the volume. I mean, I rarely mess around with Octane anymore. I mostly stick to Arnold and Redshift, but that's pretty much what you can do, and then start to add some noise and do stuff that way. But I'm sure if you read through that article that came up with that photo, like there's a whole article about it. I didn't mean to hit view image, visit site. So he talks about it. Let's see, what does he say? Oh, so maybe you might have to follow the same thing. So it says right here that he's doing an OpenVDB. Yeah, I mean, Arnold GPU has been in development for like 2 or 3 years now. Hopefully it will be out this year. I was really led to believe it was going to be out last like April or May. So that's kind of when I started to make the switch. Maybe it was even like March. But I used to use Octane all the time, and then I ran into a job that I couldn't render fast enough, and I needed a render farm, and I needed a render farm that was actually legitimate and not like Ranch Computing that may or may not be using licenses illegally. So I switched to Arnold thinking that they were going to be getting GPU because that's what their tech support was saying, and their salespeople were saying that it was coming and coming, and that people were going to be blown away with Arnold 5 when it came out, and then it never came out. But Arnold 5 has been awesome. It's a great CPU renderer, and it's super fast, and it looks great. But then Redshift started to move out of beta, and so I jumped on to Redshift, and I kind of haven't looked back. I mean, I use Arnold for certain things, especially now that it's really hard to find a cloud rendering service for Redshift. But They're out there. It's just not as good as it was when Pixelplow was using it, but that's another story. Um, Chad Ashley on Grayscale Gorilla, I think, is a beta tester for the GPU or Arnold GPU um, service. So hopefully it'll be out soon. He's kind of alluded to it being out this year. Who knows? Like, I mean, if you do a search for Arnold GPU, um, there's test renders out that it's like a 98% comparison that it looks the same as the CPU render engine. So um, I'm sure it's coming. Just got like giggles. Mission on that. One thing I have to do is set this to black. Play with this a little bit, see what we get. This particular VDB is not meant for this. I'm just kind of playing around. Man, it's already 9:55. All right. Yeah, I mean, the custom AOVs are definitely really nice. I thought I was going to be using them a lot more than I do. But yeah, it's really nice to have. I think the whole AOV manager now is really great. So, all right. It's about 5 minutes to 10. So if anyone has any questions, definitely jump in and ask them. Sorry, this has been such a quiet night. Usually it is hopping with questions and we're like flying through different things. But also, this is my second stream this week, and there were a ton of people on Monday, so maybe that's just what it is. Oh man. Don't want to quit. I just want to. There we go. Yeah, I'm tired too. I've been working a lot this week. Last one, cool. Check in everywhere else, see if there's any questions that I missed. Cool. Up Slack again. Cool. All right. Guess that's it for questions. I don't see any anywhere else. Just going through. So, as usual, thanks for hanging out tonight. I know it's a little bit quieter than usual, so it's just I think everyone's just tired, and this is my second stream this week. And Dave was just streaming for 5 hours before this, so no big deal. But every Thursday, if you want to hang out around 9 p.m. Eastern time, we do Redshift Live. Sometimes I do some in between the week, just here and there, randomly. And then, of course, tutorials usually come out on Tuesdays if I'm not too busy, but they've been kind of inconsistent depending on what's going on. So keep a lookout on Tuesdays for tutorials and Thursdays for live stream follow-ups. All right, guys. Again, thanks for hanging out, and I will see you soon. Have a great weekend.